Yeah, no issue. Hi, everyone. Good to be back. This is a wonderful Saturday. A good day, good afternoon, good evening. Coming to this session itself. So I am your moderator. My name is Desmond. Okay, good to see you guys in the room itself. So today we're going to talk about this session called How Salesforce Industrial Vlocity Simplifies Development to Allow Rapid Development of Customer-Facing Guided Flows. Okay, so we actually currently right now have two presenters to present to us. So let me give a brief introduction to them. Deena Tearney, which is the founder and the CEO of Pacific Point, a Salesforce consulting company that their HQ is in Hawaii, and they have locations in Singapore, Sydney, Denver, and Colorado. Okay, so Pacific Point itself, the company is actually ranked INC 500 company, a recognition that is done for all the US companies that itself. So she herself is a Salesforce Women Foundation group, which supports and empower women in tech and entrepreneurship. So Deena is also committed to have pledged a 1% movement and focus on the company itself. So the 1% movement itself. So there are times that Deena has a series of podcast series that you can actually follow. It's called the Audio Project. So where Deena will host clients and business executives in inspiring conversations on technology, business, and leadership itself. So that is Deena, our first presenter. Okay. To her co-host or co-presenter will be Jefferson Fernandez. He himself is a Salesforce developer lead consultant, a technical architect for Pacific Point. Under his belt, he has 15 Salesforce certification, including applications, system architect, and platform development. He himself is proficient in vertical industrial solution, which is used in Salesforce industry, which is known as Vlocity itself. So with not further ado of discussion, we will hand this time to both of the presenters itself. Take it away.
Hello, and thank you for having me at Sea Dreaming. I'm very excited to be here and very, very happy to think about all of you together, all of us together, thinking about new technologies and new things that are happening with Salesforce. My name is Deena Tearney. I'm the founder and CEO of Pacific Point. We are a Salesforce consulting partner, and we are headquartered in Honolulu, Hawaii, but we have a team in Singapore, and we're very excited to be here representing. You can find me on social at Deena White. I am joined today by my esteemed colleague, Jefferson. Please introduce yourself, Jefferson.
Hey guys, good to meet you. Good to be here. My name is Jefferson Fernandez. I'm currently a technical architect and development lead consultant in our soon-to-be office in Pacific Point, Singapore. And I'll be there once the pandemic is over. And yeah, you can find me at Trailhead, Fernandez 127. A bit of background myself, my 6th year in Salesforce development, and have 15 certifications so far with Trailhead Ranger with 350 badges and 270 plus points. Experiences with different companies such as Cloud Sherpas, Accenture, ShipServe, and AODG Singapore. Now I'm delighted to be part of this team.
Awesome. Thank you, Jefferson. I'm very happy that you're part of our team as well.
Thank you.
And for introduction's sake, before we jump into today's topic and today's session, I should explain that Pacific Point, most of our customers are in government, public sector, as well as health and life sciences. And they are those two are very top 2 industries that are using Salesforce Industries. And that's really what we're here to talk to you guys about today. So how Salesforce Industries, which is formerly known as Vlocity, which many of you may have heard about and known about the acquisition in the last couple of years, but how this product is really simplifying development that allows rapid development of customer guided flows, which is what we're going to show you today, but even more so, it creates more customer facing experience and also some internal facing experiences that allow your teams to have rapid development using industry best practices. So welcome to today's session. Our agenda is, first off, I'll start off with an overview about why is Industries Cloud meaningful and what are we seeing our customers reaching out to us and asking about Vlocity and learning more about it. Next, we'll cover a sample healthcare use case, and we'll walk through some screens so that you can get a feel for what it looks like from a customer perspective. And then we'll wrap up with tips, tricks, and troubleshooting from Jefferson. He's got a lot of great experience, hands-on, that I think you're going to find extremely, extremely valuable in today's session. All right, before we jump into the meat of it, though, I am a sucker for a good sports quote. And there's a gentleman by the name of Tom Brady, who's a US football player who you may have heard of, but he has a quote that I really love. It says, "I think sometimes in life, the biggest challenges end up being the best things that happen in your life." And if I can reflect back, it was January of 2020 when I was in Singapore speaking at the inaugural Singapore Dreaming and had an amazing time being with many of you who are here today. And, I think to the challenges, some of the biggest challenges that we all faced in the last, year and a half plus. And those big challenges, I think, have really created the best things in many of us. And today, I think, is an example of that, where now we as technologists, particularly in the Salesforce ecosystem, are able to help our customers get closer to their customers, and through these digital experiences, be rapid about engaging with their customers. And so I think, even though it was a challenging time, I think there's some really fantastic things, and I'm sure all of us can name a number of positives that came out of that experience. Even though we're not able to be in person, I'm sure we will be in that position soon. All right, so jumping in from there, why Industries Cloud? As I mentioned, a number of our customers are public sector government customers, as well as health and life sciences customers. And we see a lot of our customers asking us about Vlocity, our Industries Cloud, particularly because they're looking at those industry templates. What Vlocity has and Industries Cloud has is really this commonly used data model that is aligned to the industry itself and the processes that go with that. And so what allows is this ability to, I think we're going to show you, qualify, going through that qualification experience. Same thing could happen in the telco industry, where maybe you're wanting to apply for a certain kind of plan with your phone. And so this qualification process, a shop and compare process. And so that capability of quickly presenting options to your customer based off of what their interests are, based off of what they're eligible for, whatever that may be, industry specific, can get up and running quickly, and your clients are able to compare prices. Another thing that it does is, with that data model, are things like bill presentment. And so bringing that data in from your back office solutions and feeding that in, and now having a customer touch point to those customers, where they're able to see not just the shop and compare, but you can continue to have self-service through a solution like this, where you can now view your bill, and at all of that kind of at the fingertips of your customers and your teams. And in the public sector, very similar as well. A lot of it is intake. It's intake of applications and verifying eligibility for certain governmental programs. And so walking through all of those use cases, Vlocity is really making a difference by creating that commonly used data model that's industry specific and the processes that go with that is allowing these industries to get up and running very quickly. And that's really the second one. It's speed to market. I mean, in this day and age, we all know we've got to get out there quickly. Our customers are demanding a lot of us, and solutions like Industries Cloud are where we can really make a difference. And like I said, we've had many customers coming to us asking about these things and asking us, what does this mean? What does this give us? And we're able to talk about how they have a business need to get up and running quickly. The other big advantage is really this maintenance effort, the overhead and the enhancements that's required anytime you have a new plan come out. And now you want to do shop and compare with that, or you have changes, to processes. This concept of a configurable and a configurable solution that's pre-built with certain functionalities is really going to allow for some lower enhancement maintenance effort. Jefferson, I'm going to ask, do you have anything to add on that particular bullet?
Right, exactly. So just as Parker Harris mentioned before, so code as inertia, and then we make things simple and hard things possible. So this Vlocity vertical solutions really drives us to simplify things. As you know, technical depth is really hard. And what's good about this, it's like a drag and drop functionality. It's being offered on all of these verticals that you can see on the slides here. And development side or technical side of things, we don't have test passes to deploy. The difference is all of the things that you're gonna run into have to be tested on the user side. So no need to really have a developer that is dedicated all throughout. And yeah, I think we're going to talk about the powerful features right after.
Awesome. That's great. I actually really like that quote. And it made me think of another quote that I heard actually from Vlocity themselves saying, trust the platform. And it's a powerful statement, particularly for those of us in Salesforce that work with it. And this trusting the platform is really huge. Looking at it and understanding how it's intended to be configured.
Exactly.
Moving on to our next agenda item is a sample healthcare use case. So we're going to show you from a customer's perspective to start what that OmniScript flow might look like. So in our example, what we're going to do is walk through a sample of checking eligibility to see whether or not a customer might. So they can self-serve, check of whether or not they are eligible for particular programs. Then we're going to do a shop and compare. So we're going to walk you through what that might look like. And then at the conclusion of that, an enrollment process or application process. All right.
Right.
First up, so here's a screenshot, a sample. First thing I'm wanting to do here as a customer is check if I'm eligible for certain programs. And so it's going to ask me a series of questions that are configurable. And based off of these yes, no answers in this particular example, I'm able to determine, because I've got some yeses here, that I as a customer am in fact eligible for this program. And I can show on the next screen, if I had selected any no's or something that would have disqualified me from being eligible, I'm able to control that user experience for the customer and let them know, hey, you're not eligible, but maybe there's another flow or another experience that we want to configure for those that are not eligible. So this step is really the qualifying piece. I'll pause here for a moment. Anything about backend that you wanted to chime in on?
Exactly. So when these scenarios happen, the customer will be routed to different set of flows that can give them options like just generate a code for me until the time being that I'll qualify for myself. So those insurances are basically just maybe a government type subsidy, any pre-qualifications that the customer has to fulfill before they could get into this type of plan offerings.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. And then on the next page, if we imagine that this customer was in fact eligible, and now they're ready to get started. So now what we're looking for is we're looking at some parameters and criteria that will help determine what particular plans might be available based off of, now we've determined eligibility, now which plans are available. So we've got some parameters that we can enter here. Jefferson, any thoughts before I keep
Right,
going?
exactly. So definitely. So all those, for example, regions in Singapore, as we exemplify here, it might not be a big market, but on big theaters or markets, those regions really matter in calculating the pricing. Vlocity has a rating engine that computes a lot of factors or variables that could incorporate those information. And then of course the customer would want to choose what's the coverage date that they wanted to. And behind the scenes, we could also be having a date range where we could give some promos if they choose a particular date within this.
Awesome. Very cool. And now, based on that criteria, we're able to present sort of this nice card format, and this is relatively standard look and feel, where now a customer can choose maybe to take a look at the standard plan as well as maybe the premium plan, and to click this compare and then see side-by-side comparisons.
Right.
They can see some of the detailed information in a kind of a quick snapshot, as if, imagine yourself shopping in this format. It's much more visible for you and a much clearer buying process.
Exactly. And then, so those links will have a pop-up modal where it's going to explain further in detail. And as you can see, the CSS type of what you can see right now is called Newport, and it's supplied by Vlocity themselves. You might see the modern Lightning CSS library in Trailhead, but this is one of still existing and currently implemented in other clients right now.
Awesome, great. So if I move forward and I selected a plan on that previous page, now I can kind of continue to walk through, and you can sort of see at the top, I'm kind of walking through this flow and this experience. And in this particular case, I've selected my plan, and now I'm able to review my information. And you can create a number of different experiences depending on what your flow might be. But in this particular case, I'm looking at my selected plan.
Right. And as you can see, there's a link there, view and download quote. There's a PDF file behind the scenes that will be opened eventually to the customer. And this PDF can be, the fields there can be supplied with values coming from Adobe Pro that is actually supported functionality behind the scenes by the OmniScript. And you can even customize it if you really want us more powerful features. You can even create a Visualforce PDF that can get values from Salesforce records.
Nice, I like that. Great. And then we have maybe, another set. So now that we've completed the shopping, so we've completed the qualification, we've gone through our shopping experience. Now it's time to actually fill out a detailed application. And there's, we don't have a screen for all of this, but there's a whole form and a whole series of forms that you can go through and kind of step through that experience and get all the necessary information to application enrollment.
So as you can see, every other flow, you will start over again, but this means that you're being routed to another flow that will entirely be a different set of forms. So this could be routed, you could be routed if you're different personas or different type of class levels. So there will be a specific dedicated flow for you. And as you can see, to be exact detailed there are even save for later buttons functionality, where if the customer gets tired in filling out all the information, they can get back to it tomorrow, with all the information still retained.
That's awesome. And we also have the option, we've kind of fast forwarded through some of these steps, but just to see there are some payment functionalities that maybe Jefferson, you can talk best about.
Exactly. So I just want to touch on that OmniScripts have the functionality of a HTTP action, where we could integrate behind the scenes with a payment gateway provider, communicate with them via REST protocols, and then that's just simply demos us the powerful features and what features or what other features that we could build into that OmniScript can provide to us.
Awesome. And now we've completed our application. We've got an application number, and we've basically completed the flow.
Right. So as you can see, there are even additional fields there. If you want this to be emailed to you, your application forms, together with all the supplied information, jot down your application number, and then there will be a button there, another pop-up that would summarize your benefits coverage. So after all these informations gathered, it will all be supplied to you in any form that you could imagine, like have it mailed to you by a case fulfillment team that will mail it to you, or even have someone call you to explain to you in person. So stuff like that.
Perfect. And here's a bit of a behind the scenes view. We're switching
Right.
gears a little bit, but yeah, go ahead.
Exactly. So as you can see, this is This is not one of your examples on Trailhead, but this is still what we call a classic designer console, where as you can see on the left side, all the components, actions that we talked about previously, like remote actions calling Apex, HTTP calling integrations, display, how you want to display this in order, functions like formulas, groupings, some inputs like text field, phone number fields, or string fields. And you can embed other OmniScripts as well. So there could be a parent OmniScript that will call several children of OmniScripts. And as you can see on the middle side, all of those are like drag and drop, just like the ones in the flow process builders. And each of these can actually be edited as a JSON on the top right. And you can view the entire full JSON with all the possible or the expected values that so you could use that as for troubleshooting purposes. And just one more quick note, as you can see right at the bottom, there are colors behind or at the left side of the bars. It indicates that there are conditions inside it that would fire only in certain conditions. There are like if statements, if conditionals, where you want to fire this only in specific types of users, something like that.
Awesome. Great. And now for some additional feedback. Jefferson's been deep in the weeds with our team on Vlocity for a number of years. And so I think he's got some great tips, tricks, and troubleshooting he can pass along.
Right, exactly. So since we started implementations last year, we have really experienced lots of gotchas that I think will be useful for all of us. Like for first is this one. The percentage sign is like a merge indicator in Vlocity. Sometimes we see implementations like there's just one word inside it, where we could be more verbose in putting all the path inside it. So to be specific with which phone number are you talking about in the entirety of JSON. So these ones are very important if you really want to make sure that you really refer to that phone number under this path. Next, please. And for example, I know that JavaScript sometimes has a lag time, so it's important for you to sometimes reactivate and activate the OmniScript itself once you make changes. And just in case you're really wondering why it hasn't been reflected yet, our browser has the powerful features where you could inspect and click on the sources tab, look for the template. The template is the AngularJS templates, the counterpart of the LWC that Salesforce built for themselves, and where you could enter the name of the template or LWC, and then look for if the browser has already detected your changes. So this is powerful when you're debugging during runtime. Next, please. So just on our experience on classic OmniScript Designer, every time you make even just a short change, simple change, it's always going to be auto-saved. We wondered why it happened, but come to think of it, otherwise, if all your changes, you made a ton of changes, but it didn't get, you failed to click on save, all of those are just going to, it will stop from the moment you made the changes. You might not be able to recall everything. So it's important that every simple change could be auto-saved, and that's what we realized that became useful to us. Next, please. And of course, JSON is case sensitive. We had to put that into my perspective. So sometimes we have to put some if conditions and making sure that there are no undefined errors. And just like an example here in JavaScript, like we put in a shorthand if statement, and then assign a default value if it's null or undefined. Next, please. Okay. So naming conventions on Trailhead, different types of components would require different types of combinations of names. So it is important that we follow those, because it's really going to pay off big time when it comes to maintenance and how we would want to name each component to the way we desire to. Common bugs are found around the date and time, so it's important that we also follow if it's really a string or a UTC. As you can see, a UTC can sometimes be one day earlier, so sometimes that's something to watch out for. Okay, so some formulas are not supported yet, so don't be afraid to get creative with the logic. So there's for example, there's no day formula in a where we could get the date as an integer. So we can only use the string as a way to read the entire date and use that string to get the particular placing of the integer, and use that to make comparisons whether it's within the 1st to the 15th day and then 16th to 30th day. And prevent regression bugs. Be careful with renaming variables, components, because downstream dependence wouldn't notify immediately of missing names or errors until you run the actual flow. So this is important because all the errors are gonna happen during runtime. So this doesn't happen in compile time. And so it's important that we are careful with our changes. If you think there's significant risk of downstream issues but need to change value for variable based on different conditions, you set values with the exact name and an if statement to capture the change in value conditions. So I don't have example here, but there are set values component where you could name it the same name, but the contents behind it, there will be an if statement that will change depending on a certain criteria. What's important is the name of the JSON node would not change. I wanted, yeah, so there was an example. The coverage date is based on the current date, but I don't want to risk having regression bugs. So I changed the name to coverage date to something else. So if I change the name to something else, so I use the formula to change its name based on the logic around. Yeah, so just like we talked about. And run regression testing on all scenarios on every change. Create test cases documenting new functionalities and regressions. And explore third-party velocity testing that might simplify or automate regression testing. Those stuff that we could explore as third-party options that I think are available out there for us for velocity. Or error log capture, we can use try-catch blocks or integration procedures. This is one way where we could save bugs or errors reported by users. And we could see the documentation there on the link. Go ahead, please. Catch blocks on integration procedures, caching, where we could save frequently accessed information on the browser. And this is useful if we want to improve the performance, like the loading times. And we could use this powerful feature on integration procedures. And storage issues, we also ran into storage issues like why is it that it's not saving? So we had to run a batch job to delete the that are old, the saved omniscripts that are older than 30 days. So stuff like that. But as long as we inform the user about it, and because all these records are saved as Salesforce records, all the velocity metadata are saved as regular Salesforce records. So it eats up your storage. And these are references to our links. The main portal, and then the user documentations, and then the business process library, where all the templates and processes are explained per vertical, per industry.
Great. Well, thank you, Jefferson. That was great. That was a lot of information, and I know that you guys have tons of questions, I'm sure. Thank you to the sponsors for C Dreaming, and thank you to all of you for listening. We look forward to your questions.
Wow, that was great, man. That was a great presentation, Deena and Jefferson. Give us a very great insights on how Salesforce Industry or Vlocity Advisor give us how do we rapidly development. So, how I think one of the questions that we were looking at the QA that the frequently people asked was that they asked what industry does Vlocity support? Yeah, maybe Jefferson, you want to take that?
Right. So as as Deena mentioned on the slides, we have a ton or several industries being supported right now, and don't worry, maybe in the future there will be a lot more as we transform our landscape with, like, currently we are now we have healthcare, communications, and media and entertainment, energy and utilities, and financial services, government, and stuff like those. It is more detailed when you go to the Salesforce website.
Okay. So in general, they will probably need to contact their own Salesforce account managers to get this product, or
Right. Exactly. Because just to let you know, guys, these are highly specialized tools. This is not just for somebody like you're just exploring something. You need to know what you need. You need to know what you need.
I see.
That's why the account managers comes in.
Okay, cool, great. That was great. Okay, down the list, the second question, is very good about asking. He was one of the attendees was asking is that could you share some links or industrial cloud guidance path for the preparation of the cert? And also he continues saying that what kind of cert should I kickstart for the journey itself?
Good question there. As you notice, this community is still up and coming, so it's a very good opportunity to step foot already, be one of those pioneers. And there's nothing fancy. There's no hidden secrets here. What really made me excited is just this year, it integrated with Trailhead, to be specific. And there are even trail mixes that are already created specific for the at least, for example, the Omni Studio consultant, which is the first certification that I would suggest if you're really interested. I know the next series would be Joey Chan, and I'm a fan of him because he got those certifications even without experience yet.
Yeah,
And so
he is.
that shows how easy it is. And then the next would be the developer, and then the industry CPQ, and then there will be a lot more. This is new, guys. So there will be highly certifications that are very specific to your industry. But right now, let's just stick to what's available and be excited for the future.
Cool. So yeah, it's very clear cut. Yeah, it's good and comprehensive. Next, attendee actually asked, can all the contacts and codes and sales orders information be captured and accessed from the Sales Cloud itself?
Right. So maybe his question is if any information accessed or created or modified in Vlocity or industries will still be visible in other clouds. Just okay. So just a refresher, Vlocity is a managed package that is on top of the Salesforce as a platform. Sales is just a license, and so any information that is on the platform will be shared across. So this is nothing fancy. It's not separate from Salesforce. It is just built on top and built natively 100% Salesforce. So all
I
you
see.
do is it's just making it user friendly to you, and all of the inner workings like Apex or whatever automations are being done for you by Vlocity.
Okay, cool. Yeah, still some questions are coming in. One of the learners as well asked was, let me see, what kind of limits do we have on the OMI script flow? And also he also asked about when you talk about extending the platform, how big can you scale it to? Like what level can Vlocity scale it?
Yeah, good question there. I know we're all curious, but again, just going back to the same old broken record that I said, we are just abiding with the governor limits of Salesforce. So we don't have any separate Salesforce limits. I know there will be sometimes that you need a lot more CPU time. So I guess that's pure customization that you, for example, you want to extend CPU time. I'm not sure if there's available in Salesforce, but we could constantly check the limits. But when it comes to the scale of the OmniScript itself, there's no boundaries, man. It's just really it all boils down to the customer. We're result driven here. Is it going to be
Yep.
complex to the customer to the point that it's not useful for them anymore? So let's focus on them. If it's useful to them, friendly to them, and then we can imagine ourselves with the different options for them.
Cool. So it's actually following a certain governance limits that's in Salesforce itself, and it's good because it's a native platform. as well.
Exactly.
Okay. Next down the line, someone just posted this question. He says, does Vlocity support all payment gateways available in different regions? So he gives some examples, like does it support Google Play and other UPI payment gateways that's available in India? I mean, I'm thinking that it's actually an India developer, so he's asking this.
Wow, that is very tech question, man.
Yeah.
But we haven't gotten into that use case yet. But I
Okay.
assure you that any REST API or any payment gateway that is REST protocol that has a REST protocol exposed, theoretically we can support that because it's really the REST API who's mediating for us. It's not that whatever you call API, whatever you call provider. It's really the REST API. And then if you're gonna give us access like tokenization, whatever, and then theoretically yes, it is supported. They should.
Cool. So that's all about the questions that I see. Maybe Dana, you want to add something to our discussion, or give us a feedback or some insights about Salesforce industry Vlocity itself, or maybe
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Desmond, for asking. I think that Jefferson's obviously the knowledge to me when it comes to the technical execution. So all those questions should certainly go there. But I would just highlight that, the product itself is a managed package. So we have some of our customers talking about getting that underlying data model with the industry specific aspects that are really relevant for them, but yet still being able to plug it into, as one of the questions earlier, your existing processes that you have that may not necessarily be the industry portion. So your sales teams, your service teams, or other areas can still be all together in that solution. And so we've seen some huge benefits where customers maybe start off with Sales Cloud, and then they add on that layer of Vlocity, and then they're adding on more capabilities. So it's all within that native platform, which has been a really huge game changer for a lot of our customers in these specific industries, to add this extra element that wasn't already there, like the standard Salesforce stuff. So that's where I think the huge benefits come in for our customers. So that would be the main thing that I would highlight in this conversation.
All right, that's good. I mean, it is definitely, as I say, it's very specific. It is very targeted. It is towards certain industry itself. So this platform usually works great. Someone just posted the final question. I mean, we have time for the last one. So how do you see the current and future marketing trends for customer adoption perspective for Vlocity? As in, like, how do you see the trend and the marketing trends? Do you have any insights on that?
Okay, so just 30 seconds from me. As you noticed, it was just a small player, the Vlocity. It just grew because there was demand for it, and then eventually Salesforce took advantage of that opportunity. As you see, Mark Benioff is a visionary. He was able to see that years or decades ahead. Right now, we provide the horizon, we provide the landscape. Now we build our farms, whatever purpose built for you that is specific to your business, so you don't have to worry about anything else. I think that's the market strategy towards now. Innovation about that is very specific, that is very nuanced towards your industry. Deena, you want to add anything?
No, I think that's perfect. I mean, I think that I don't know if the question is geared towards marketing for customers buying into Vlocity. It sounds like it is. I think that at least for us, because I mentioned earlier, healthcare is a big one for us. Anything in health and life sciences, I think that's such a huge market of opportunity for Salesforce to jump into and talk to customers about how they can reap the benefits. I think public sector, another one. I mean, these are two industries that grew in their level of effort and their work during the pandemic. And so those might be some really top areas that, Vlocity might continue to really expand their user and customer footprint. That'd be my 2 cents.
Wow. Thank you. That was really good from both of you for Salesforce industry insights. So I think that will be the end. But thank you everyone for attending. Thank you, Dana. Thank you, Jefferson, for doing this live Q&A chat. It was great. I think you knock it off, and it's really a great job done by both of you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, so for everyone else who is participating, please make sure that you complete the survey at the end of the session. Gamification point will be awarded for the survey that you put into it. And so that will be all. So a big thank you for all who attended this session, this 40 minutes. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you for Deena. Thank you for Jefferson for speaking for us. So we will see you in the next section. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.